From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Well, hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 things of the week that make us go wow. I'm
Who are you?
Oh, am I having an existential crisis? My name is Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder. I am joined by and a welcome back to our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell. We've missed you so much.
I've missed you. You guys are a sight for sore eyes, and I mean it. That my eyes are sore. That's all.
You look gorgeous, and I believe you're in a different time zone, somewhere exotic.
Well, I believe you're in a different dimension because you've got like a season 1 filter on you, right? You look.
It's probably just a dirty screen.
And of course, that is the dulcet tones of James St. James, host of the Wow Podcast Network, Night Fever.
What happened?
Now it's really, for those of you watching on our YouTube channel, Wow Presents, it's like a Navajo blanket, I think.
Joan Collins would be proud. Okay, now we're back.
All right, let's do the countdown. Let's start at number 10. Tom.
Number 10.
I have been traveling for work, and I found myself last weekend in London town and just lived like a tourist with Theron for like 2 days. We stayed one night, not at your expense, Fenton, at the Soho Hotel, which is a Ferndale hotel, which I just found out about, which are quite nice and lush. And we were in Soho in the theater district, and we walked around. We had lunch at Balthazar, and we saw a really good play on closing night. So you can't go see it. Also, it's based on a real life person. Have you ever heard of Backstairs Billy, of William Tallon, the super gay butler to the Queen Mum?
Oh, yes, I do remember a super gay butler to the gay mom. I didn't
Yes.
realize that was his name. Yes.
Well, this was Backstairs Billy. It was a very what do they call a drawing room kind of comedy. Perfect for a tourist like me. It stars Luke Evans, hunky, beautiful Luke Evans.
Sure.
Who,
oh my goodness.
As famous as Luke Evans is, I haven't seen that much that he's in, although I believe he's in Good Grief right now. Isn't he in a couple of things at the moment?
It wasn't his big breakout role Gaston in the live Beauty and the Beast?
Yeah, I mean, he's done a million things, but he plays William Tallon, who is Her Majesty's favorite butler or steward and page of the Backstairs. And the queen he serves is the Queen Mum. It's told in flashback, but he started when he was 15 years old in real life. When he was 12 years old, he was writing to the castle, hoping to serve the queen. And by the time he was brought on, he wanted to serve the Queen Mum, who had just gone from being queen, consort to the Queen Mum, and sort of found her. You know, it's dramatized a bit, but kind of found her when she needed someone to make her feel special and loved. And that's what he did for her from the time he was 15 until she passed away. It was like, I think they were together 30 or 40 years.
Now, who plays the Queen Mum? Is that a fun character? Is she
incredible, funny and wise and dotty, just like the Queen Mum was supposed to be, by Penelope Wilton. A name that didn't jump off to me, but you know her as the widowed Isabel Crawley from Downton Abbey. She had all those great scenes with Maggie Smith.
Oh, sure. Yeah, of course.
And she has been in so many things. And this is a testament to her. I didn't recognize her name, Penelope Wilton. I saw the play. She was wonderful. And I didn't realize it was that actress from Downton Abbey until afterwards. So she found herself in the role. It all takes place in like the reception room, where she would, the sunroom where she'd take at Claridge House. Is that right? Claridge House. Yeah, sure. He would arrange her meetings, keep her not drunk, but keep the cocktails flowing. He brought her joy and life. He knew her frontwards and backwards. And his whole thing was he would go into the Royal Archive and pull out little items in gold boxes for the guests to discuss about, because the Queen hated small talk. So he wanted to create moments. So he was they portrayed him as this gay who made magic,
a magical queen, a magical fairy, as the old, yes.
Who's
Did
also
the Queen Mum have her gin and tonic in the handbag? Like that's all I really know about the Queen Mum, that she's supposed to always carry a portable gin and tonic in her handbag, pocketbook.
They didn't play that, but she always had a cocktail in her hand because she was home. And they, I've read since I wish I'd written it down with what she had at noon, what she had at 2, what she had at 4, what she had at noon. At one point he serves tea and she's like, what is this? The funny moment, again, very traditional, but he in real life would bring tricks back to Claire. He was also like nasty, vicious,
Sure.
and a, and kind of, went out and got people. So he brings back this beautiful, packed into 70s tight bell-bottom jeans, black activist / artist, and they sort of get caught in the act. And the artist leaves behind one of his sculptures, which his work is of the black penis. So there's a black penis that ends up in one of the Queen's boxes, and you can imagine what happens next.
My big question to you, though, is sometimes Theron is not always very receptive to theatrical experiences. He doesn't. Getting him to go to a musical is always a bit of a trouble.
Yes, you'll have to talk to Theron, but this was my interpretation because I brought him last year to Wicked in London, and he enjoyed it very much. No, he loved it.
Oh, okay.
And so he's learned to trust me. And we went to this. And the other little thing is they had live corgis running across the stage every now and then. Which, if you're going on, here's the thing. And I don't mean to out there, and I love him. He wasn't aware. He was because she's Elizabeth and her daughter's Elizabeth. And he didn't have the Queen mum in his head. So it made more sense.
He doesn't know the backstory, the context. Yes.
And there's the crisis because his homosexuality and him being kind of outlandish, which happened in real life, means he might lose his job. And in a very beautiful way, the Queen Mom keeps his job. And this is a real live quote from the Queen Mom. After being advised by a conservative minister in the 1970s not to employ homosexuals, Elizabeth, the Queen Mom, observed that without them, we'd have to go self-service. And it sort of paints that the castle was one of the places where gay men came together and had a community and had each other and formed family. So it was, it had a modern goggles on, but it was really beautifully done. And then the capper, and I'll stop, is we went to Joe Allen's afterwards, there's a famous Joe Allen's in New York, and there's an offshoot here, which is a very theater. And the cast was having dinner at Joe Allen. So we got to pay respects to Mr. Evans, all of them, just very briefly. So it was just a blast. And you can, William Talon is the real guy. And there's documentaries and books. And it's just a fascinating character who, when he finally did pass after the Queen passed, Snowden was there. Lord Snow, like he was famous around London and all the people that came to visit the Queen. And he was a celebrity. And a big old
now, has Luke Evans ever been on Drag Race, and would he ever be on the British edition or the UK edition?
He's not. And the beautiful thing is Theron looked up Luke Evans while we were there, and it said Luke is going on holiday immediately after his play closes. And so I already follow him on Instagram, and Luke is in the Maldives. So
he posted that immediately after he saw you guys there. Book me a ticket to the Maldives. I'm out of the country.
We must have him on. He was funny. He's beautiful. Again, Penelope Wilton is just tremendous. So I'm sorry it's closed, but Backstairs Billy, which is fun to say. So
hopefully it'll go to Broadway, maybe.
That'd be lovely.
Or there'll be a movie. Like the King's Speech, right? Yeah. All right,
even better.
Let's move on. Number 9, James.
Number 9.
I went to the movie theater over the weekend and saw American Fiction, which is nominated for 1 million Academy Awards and has been winning awards left and right. It has a fantastic cast. Jeffrey Wright, of course, who is always brilliant. Issa Rae, Tracee Ellis Ross, Leslie Uggams is in it. Little Leslie Uggams, who was a teen sensation in the 1950s. Adrian Brody, Sterling K. Brown is absolutely spectacular. The cast is a chef's kiss.
Wow.
But
no.
But let me give you the setup first. This is just the setup. So Jeffrey Wright is this incredibly serious writer who writes these incredibly serious books that nobody reads.
I know that feeling.
Yes, as we've all been there before. So he notices that there are other Black writers, Black intellectual writers, and very intelligent Black writers who seem to be pandering to, say, a white audience craving an authentic Black experience in which there's, crack smoking and police violence and everybody talks like a 1970s blaxploitation movie like Superfly or whatever. And so as a joke, he decides that he's going to write one of those books. And he writes a book called Fuck. And he gives himself the pseudonym Stagger Lee. And Stagger Lee. And he submits it, and they are like, "Oh my God, we can't submit this." And it's all written, in like a patois, like it's ridiculous. But it ends up getting this huge advance. It becomes a huge sensation. And he says that Stagger Lee is on the run from the police. He's a wanted fugitive, and that's why he can't give any interviews. That's how he gets around it. Well, it ends up that the movie rights get sold for millions of dollars, and he ends up hating himself because of it, because this is his biggest success to date, and it's something he did as a joke, and it's very upsetting. Now, the problem is that it's satire, but it doesn't go into farce. And I'm going to just mention like gay movies like The Birdcage and Tootsie and other things where people are putting on acts that it escalates and escalates and escalates and escalates to this comical area where you have no choice but to pull the wig off Victoria and say, "I am, it's all been a lie." And it never gets to that. And it's not quite as funny as it should have been. I think if it was a Netflix series and then had been able to do 5 or 6 episodes where things keep getting more and more out of control, it could have worked. As it stands, my sister and I both walked out saying it was funny, but it could have been a lot funny. It didn't quite hit the mark for me.
I still really want to see it, though. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
the trailer is quite good.
Like I say, the cast, every single line delivery is perfect, and just to see Leslie Uggams for Tom, I think that's all you really need out of it. I was happy to see.
Only we would know, James, that she was once little Leslie Uggams.
Little Leslie Uggams. I have the little Leslie Uggams songbook on my phone right now from the 1950s. I was very happy. Blake, you might be happy to see it because of Adrian Brody, who is from the OC, who is just aging like fine wine. He looks so good.
You mean Adam Brody?
Adam Brody. Oh, Adam Brody. Oh my God. I've got to do the whole thing all over again. Let me start from the beginning.
We'll just bleep in Adam.
I was like, why would I care really about Adrian Brody? I mean,
no, you wouldn't care about Adam Brody because he looks fine.
I love the OC.
Yeah. So, mixed bag of nuts, see it, don't see it. American Fiction, wait until it comes on Netflix.
It sounds like it's a sort of a Academy Award baity sort of movie, right? Like,
yes,
it's made for that purpose.
And it's a fantastic premise, and it speaks to so much of what's going on right now. And Tracy Ellis Ross too is hysterical. She has a couple big scenes. No, Issa Rae has her one really big scene, but Tracy Ellis Ross sort of steals the show with her heart.
American Fiction in theaters now. All right, number 8.
Number 8.
Have we talked about True Detective here before? We must have.
No, but I went
season.
to the premiere.
Never talked about True Detective because now it's season 4. We've never talked.
I've never seen an episode. No.
Oh my goodness! Have you, Tom?
I may have sampled the first season with Matthew McConaughey, but I've not been a devotee at all.
Right. I sort of was aware of it. Everyone raved about it, but you get that feeling sometimes. Oh, it's not for me.
I think the first season was really spectacular. The second season sucked, and then it came back in the third season.
Now we're on the 4th season, and this is Jodie Foster's tour de force. It's called True Detective Night Country, and it's like a lot of other things in some respects, in that it's set in an isolated town of Ennis, Alaska, which is near the Arctic Circle, and it begins with the last sunset of the year. Point being that after the sun has set, that's it. They're in, I forget how many nights of darkness, nights and days of dark. That's why it's called Night Country. So the whole thing is set in the dark. Wow. And the whole thing is set in the snow. Wow. Because, Murder at the End of the World was in the middle of the snow. And I don't know what it is. I just love things that are set in the snow. I just crave
Well, don't you sometimes sneak away to that place up in the Yukon? Don't you like
Virgo
take
Island.
your
Yes.
lovers
No,
to the
I
Yukon?
got a sort of a jonesing for wintry environment, but I think it's a bit on trend right now. Anyway, this is on Max. It's also a little bit like Mayor of Easttown in the sense that you've got a hard-bitten, bitter, crotchety, grumpy true detective, Jodie Foster.
And Jodie plays those roles so well.
So well. I mean, maybe a little too well. Like it is like
It's like we're getting a glimpse into her real personality. So
no, she's lovely, lovely, lovely. But she is the Kate Winslet times 10 and really dark and really bitter. In fact, and perhaps this isn't so bizarre, everybody in this benighted, frozen world is a little bit bitter or mad or both. And so there's Jodie Foster and against Carly Race, who plays a half black, half native police person who they have history, Jodie, not romantic history, sort of work partner history. And the mystery itself, so it is about like there's this scientific research place, and not giving it all away, but suddenly all the scientists in this whole place, they all disappear. It's like the Marie Celeste, they've just disappeared. Where are they? What happened to them? And there's another murder that took place some years ago that has this Jodie Carly thing going on that somehow connects to what has transpired here. And I gotta say, it is fantastic. It is so, I don't know whether it's just the cinematography, the sort of Todd Heido-like exteriors, because it is bleak, but not, it doesn't feel like porn bleak. You know, like sometimes you feel some drama series really delight in being bleak. This feels like bleak in a way that makes sense, you know?
How many episodes are out so far?
3 are out and there's 6 in total.
I only watched the first one at the premiere, but it was really good. Like I normally don't do scripted because I love reality, but I want to go back and watch the next.
It's really good, and I wonder if part of it is to do with this, that this is the first version that the showrunner isn't a part of, and it's directed by Issa Lopez. And I read this fascinating article where they say that this season is a feminist critique of all the previous seasons, which were so macho with Matthew McConaughey, you know, and they were also really hot. And this is like really women-led, and it's in the freezing cold. And it's also got this supernatural thing going on, which it's just handled very well.
Now, two things though. Jodie's partner has the Lee Bowery cheek piercings, doesn't she?
Yes, she does. Yes.
You call him Lee Bowery. I call him Black China.
I call him genitalia, actually, but that's
she has the cheek. Yes.
Yeah, is it distracting? Because why is she why is she a hipster in this northern Alaska town? I don't think it's possible.
I think it may have to do with her indigenous culture.
It might do. Yes, there's a strong indigenous theme.
Okay. So she's not a raver. She's not a raver per se.
No. But it's like I just love the, you know, like I guess it takes a page from Dark Winds too, which is set in, you know, you're on the reservation with you've got this sort of racial tension.
The other thing though is this is definitely Jodie's Emmy, right? I mean, Jodie is bound for the next year's Emmys, probably.
Yeah. It's funny that something made me watch it in a way that all the others have passed me by and thought, no.
But you did like the Kate one. What was that? Where she was
Mayor of Easttown.
Yeah, Mayor of Easttown. Yeah, I thought you were saying Mara Vista, like some weird. I had no idea you were saying Mayor of Easttown.
Mayor of East. I'm sorry, I should articulate.
I kept saying, "What's Mara Vista? Do I need to IMDb this?"
The premiere was really cool. They had it all snowy, and they served like fish foods that you would eat like in Alaska, and they had indigenous throat singers.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, it was cool. And they actually had invited a lot of the indigenous people to the premiere that helped out on the show.
Oh,
cool.
And when you say they had it all snowy, they did that Hollywood thing of bringing in tons of snow?
It wasn't real snow, but like the backdrop for the red carpet was all made of ice. It was a big ice carving that said True Detective Night Country. It was on the Paramount lot, which I'd never been to before, so it was cool.
Gorgeous. All right, well, that's Sunday night on Max. Brand new episode of season 16 RuPaul's Drag Race airs tonight on Wow Presents Plus worldwide, excluding USA, Canada, Australia. Of course, here in the US, it's on MTV, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. Sign up at wowpresentsplus.com and you can see Drag Race Belgium, Drag Race España, All Stars coming this month, February.
Yeah, actually, the first two are coming this Sunday.
That's Drag Race Belgium and Drag Race España All Stars. Blake, have you got a question?
I do, and it's about Jodie Foster, in fact. In a conversation with Interview Magazine, she was asked to pick one movie she thinks everyone should see at least once in their lifetime. Now, she gave two. She said Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, but her second pick was very weird. Can you guess it?
We'll be right back with the answer after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake.
Yes, and I asked, Jodie Foster was recently interviewed by Interview Magazine, and they asked her, what are two movies you should see in your lifetime? She said, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and then she gave a second answer that was very weird. What is it?
I hope she agrees with me. I think she said the movie Bridesmaids.
No.
I think she said Jezebel, starring Betty Davis, which I just watched on TCM.
Not that either.
I'm no
Freaky
idea.
Friday.
Does anyone remember Team America, World Police, The Muppets?
Oh my God, that is such a good choice.
That's what she said.
I've always loved that movie, and I think yes.
I love that song that goes, America, fuck yeah.
And I love that the cobblestones in it are made of croissant. They're all croissant shaped.
Yeah.
All right, we're counting down the top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. We've reached number 7, Tom.
Number 7.
I read in the New York Times a headline that caught my eye, and it was the audacity of E. Jean Carroll. And she's been all over the news, but a little misunderstood. She, of course, is the wonderful woman, now 80 years old, that Donald Trump was, she accused Donald Trump and he was found guilty in court of sexually assaulting her. Is that correct?
Sure.
Am I saying it right? And after the trial, he just went on and just like assaulted her again through the social media as he does. And she sued him for I don't know the legal terms, but basically for slander. And it went to court.
Defamation of character and slander.
Yes.
And every single opportunity he had to take it back, he doubled down and he tripled down and he quadrupled down. And it the thing that upsets me more than anything so far of what you've just said is that the New York Times would have a headline like that.
Oh, no. It was meant in the best way. It was an opinion piece.
Okay. Oh, good.
And it's just the idea that we sort of write her off. Oftentimes she's read, and this is us knowing Leslie Uggams. We lived through E. Jean Carroll and her, you know what I'm saying? We know what she was and who she was. And a lot of young people don't. And she's written off a lot like, the former advice columnist, kind of like a minor player. E. Jean Carroll had a huge career. And she, at the Times once called her, feminism's answer to Hunter Thompson. She blazed trails. She was a gonzo style columnist, in addition to having the longest serving advice column in America of anyone. You know what I'm saying? And they went on to say she profiled Lyle Levitt. She went, camping for an outside article with New York curmudgeon Fran Lebowitz. And she wrote a very famous piece for Esquire and Dan Rather. Those are just a few things. She also was the first woman to write an article for Playboy when people read Playboy for the articles. And I just remember her as a constant presence on television and on talk shows.
Yes. I mean, she
being strong
really
and acerbic and yes, just really, the sense of humor, just a wry lady, and just had a lot of great things to say. So that's this woman who at 80 or in her late 70s took on this mission, put herself out there, and has lived through all of this awful, whoisms. And I'm so grateful to her. I don't know how these things end. He was fined $83.3 million. She won a judgment of $83.3 million. And he sort of, for a few days, was quiet, but he's back on. He's retweeting, articles that are unfavorable, and she has said she's very, very wise about this. She's not like a crackpot in any way. She's a smart cookie. And she was like, he came to the trial like it was a campaign stop. And I was there for justice, and thank God she got it. With Trump, you never know how things play out with his crazy following. But I just think there's such bravery, and it's so easy to dismiss women, as people are still doing. An 80-year-old woman, and Trump is playing into all of that hideous. He had said at one point, like, she's not my type. That was
the thing is E. Jean Carroll, as you know, Tom, was a beautiful woman. She still is a beautiful woman. She was in the 70s and 80s. She was gorgeous. And the fact that he keeps doubling down and he can't shut up, it just drives me crazy. But I just saw today that E. Jean's lawyer is now going after Alina, Trump's lawyer, because Alina now is just saying all sorts of bad, stuff about it. They just don't learn their damn lessons, and they play to their base, and the base loves it, but he just keeps
But I will just say, in Rachel Maddow's book Prequel, where she tells the story about the rise of fascism, I talked about it last week on the show, Tom, and didn't get to the part of the book where they brought this trial against all these fascist Nazi collaborators, and they turned the courtroom into a circus. That's what they do. And that's what Trump did and his lawyer did, just creating interruptions and hubbub and spectacle and making speeches.
And yet, mind you, when Hunter Biden did the exact same thing and turned the tables on them and turned his thing into the Republicans were furious.
Well, they speak through all sides of their mouths. Yeah. I mean, the couple things, there's one meme going around saying, thank you, Trump supporters, for the $83.3 million, because, he can fundraise off of this, and it'll be the money he may end up paying off E. Jean Carroll. By the way, E. Jean Carroll
No. And that's just the thing. He cannot use his fundraising money to pay this. And when you appeal it, you have to put up the $83.3 million in order to appeal. So for him to appeal, he's got to somehow go to the Saudis or Putin or somebody to get $83 million.
I am so glad I brought my lawyer, James St. James, with me today. Thank you, James, for clarifying that. No, I really appreciate it. I just respect her so much. Yeah. And I feel like, again, she's been kind of a footnote in this thing and overseen by the clown. And for women everywhere, for people everywhere, thank you, E. Jean Carroll. And what an amazing career you have had separate from this incident where you are a warrior. So
thank you, Tom, for that, because honestly, I did not know.
She was an agony column in Cosmopolitan for, like 30 years or something.
All right, let's move on. Number 6.
Number 6.
And, after Tom, I'm so glad you're back. We were saying last week what a little ray of sunshine you are and what a curmudgeon I always am. And I'm about to just be, I'm about to go nasty right here, because Justin Timberlake hosted Saturday Night Live.
No, he was the musical guest.
He didn't host. He was the musical guest.
He was the host and she was the musical guest.
No, Dakota
Johnson, he doesn't sing.
Well, you would never know. I was just going to say, because he's Justin Timberlake and he manages to take over every day. Anytime the camera's on, he's right there mugging. So I'm just going to say,
ask Janet Jackson about it, right? Am I right?
Right. Yes, exactly. So I'm going to say he co-hosted with Dakota. Okay. I'm doubling down. I'm going full Trump on this shit. Okay. Because anyway, Justin was just on Saturday Night Live last week. We'll leave it at that. But he did do, and it's been 10 years since he's been on Saturday Night Live. Thank God, because we were all getting a little tired of his mugging and his smug little those little sketches that he does.
Well, there was a funny part in Dakota's monologue where she said, you know, thank you for having me back for my second time. And he was behind her and was like, I've hosted 5 times. And she
exactly.
was
Let
like,
her have her damn moment.
And she said, yeah, 10 years ago.
Yeah. But anyway, so the thing that upset me the most, irritated me the most, was he did that Robin Gibb talk show that he does with Jimmy Fallon.
Who is not funny either.
Well, thank you for getting ahead of me right there, because I'm trying. What I want to say is that it has never been funny. Maybe the first time it was funny, but what it is now, it is a parody of a parody of a parody of a parody. He has gotten so far away from what Robin Gibb was. No kids today know who Robin Gibb was. He died 12 years ago. I don't know why they're still doing it. The joke was always that they talk like this, and they do so, and they sing like this, and they talk in the falsetto like this, and they do this hiccupy, jittery talk that is not funny. It's not who he was. It's not, and they do this, and they think they're so funny. The skit was 6 minutes long. 6 minutes on Saturday Night Live feels like 6 hours, believe me. And they just went on and on and on and on. And I am not a Justin Timberlake fan, and I am not here for his comeback, which is he is trying so desperately for. I am Team Janet. I am Team Britney. I say it every single time. But if you saw it, Blake, what did you think of the skit?
Hated it. I'm Team Britney too, and I actually hated that she came out and like apologized for some of the things she said in her book, because I feel like he deserves all of this.
Well, she did take it down after she got some blowback. It's not on her Instagram anymore.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Tom, you know the brothers Gibb. You know what they sound like and everything like that.
I do. It's also comedy just doesn't always age well. You know, you can't do a Conehead sketch today. You know,
yes. And doing a Bee Gees sketch in 2024 doesn't hit the same as it did probably 15 years ago when they first did it.
There was a time in the mid 2000s when Justin was the golden boy. All was his.
I did love him. I loved him for a time, and now I do not. I'm sorry to be a curmudgeon, but
I was a never was.
There's a little bit of poetic justice, right, in that his new single "Selfish." The fan base of Britney spun up "Selfish," the old Britney track, and it eclipsed it in the charts.
Yeah, there's a couple other songs called "Selfish" too that have been from other artists that are rising up the charts in order to eclipse him. It's very funny.
All right, but let's move on. Number 5. Have you watched The Night Agent?
You're all about the nights. You're all about
classy viewing. Tell us more.
It's on Netflix. It is supposedly the most watched thing on Netflix ever, with I think something like 812 million hours viewed. So I was like, finally, okay, I should watch this.
Is it a series? It is a movie? What is it?
It is a series. It's a little in the vein of House of Cards, in the sense that it's a political conspiracy thriller, but where House of Cards was very much in the White House and within that world, this is very much more from the point of view of the Secret Service people who was this guy, and his father was accused of being a traitor, and then his son got caught in this bombing, and he almost got the bomber, and he got discharged, and his career's been ruined like his dad. And so his job as the night agent is to sit in the basement of the White House and answer a phone in case someone calls. And there's no spoiler alert here. That's basically how it begins. He's sitting there, phone rings, and off we go. And he basically is on a journey to save someone, but also recover his father's reputation, and also recover his career, and also expose the conspiracy that's really going on. And that what's really going on, of course, is that the people who you think are sworn to protect us, the people in government, are actually the evil people, and they're blowing us up and planning heinous terrorist acts. Yeah. and there's twists and turns along the way, and it's completely forgettable in that respect. But I can't stop watching it. And I think it might be because of Gabriel Basso, who's the night agent himself, who is, I am, Chris Pratt, the Hemsworth brothers, it's not my type, normally the sort of blonde, studly guy, but that could be an exception. And
You
this
make an
guy
exception. Nice of you, Fenton.
gorgeous. I mean,
What's his name? Gabriel Basso?
yes.
We've lost
BASS.
James for the rest of the show. He's Googling.
No. And
Image search.
he's not, he's, all man and blonde and pretty.
He
And
sort of looks like a young Matt Damon, kind of.
there you go. Yes, Matt Damon vibes for sure. Of course, the person he's rescuing is a beautiful woman, played by Luciane Buchanan. And yes, he's just, you kind of know where it's going. He's going to rescue her. They're in jeopardy. There's twists and turns. Ultimately, they're going to get together. So you're watching this very sort of long, drawn out sort of mating ritual, I guess. But it's very watchable. It just goes down really nicely. Given the fact that he's so dreamy and she's they're both really beautiful. And of course, they're together, but they have to split up.
It's very soap opera, but it sounds very it sounds like comfort food, sort of like yeah.
Exactly. It's when your tropes are like mashed potatoes and you're
Yes.
so that's The Night Agent on
So
Netflix.
you actually have something nice to say about Netflix this show.
Well, I suppose it's sort of damned with faint praise, right? I'm sort of saying it's somewhat cliche, and you kind of know where it's going, but you don't know where it's going, but you do know where it's going, and you don't really care, but you're still along for the ride, Let's take a break. Hey Queen will stream exclusively on World of Wonders platform Y Presents Plus. Johnny McGovern sits down with the eliminated Queen each week of season 16 for a tell-all interview. YPresentsPlus.com.
I'd forgotten how much I missed Hey Queen until Hey Queen came back, and I'm really
Love
happy
Johnny
it's back.
McGovern. Love.
He's really good. Really
Yeah.
good.
And Kevin Aviance is in the
Lady Red Couture
role.
Yeah.
Love it. I have a question for you guys, but James, you can't answer because you actually gave it.
It's about me. It's about me.
What music diva is heading back to TV?
Oh, yeah.
There may be a god.
We'll be right back after the break here on the Wow Report.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James St. James, Tom Campbell, and Blake Jacobs.
Yep, and I asked, what musical diva is headed back to TV? And James can't answer because he told me, so.
Well, no, but I'm going to tell Tom that it's zombie Judy Garland. There's going to be new Judy Garland episodes.
Why do you tease me like that, James? I'm going to say Dolly Parton because I worked at the Dolly Parton show 100,000 years ago.
Good guess.
All right, then I'll do Cher.
Reba.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yes.
Oh, you love that Reba.
I do. I wore her t-shirt last week.
What
Yes,
is
so
she
the
coming back to do?
Reba is in a new sitcom.
NBC has given a pilot order to an Untitled multi-camera comedy starring McIntyre, who will also executive produce.
I'm
Well,
there.
You go, Reba. You go.
She'll inherit her father's restaurant and is less than thrilled to discover that she has a new business partner in the half-sister she never knew she had.
Well, right there, it's Roseanne in the diner, or Alice. I mean, we've got all sorts of classic
Alice,
diner.
Here we go.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something. I never watched Reba when it came out. I was just not part of it. But then recently, it was on after Big Bang Theory or something or Friends that I was watching during the pandemic, and I've learned to love it.
It's so good, and Van is so cute. The guy, Sasha.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're counting down top 10 things made us go, wow. We've reached number 4, Tom.
Number 4.
A rest in peace to Dolores Conchita Figueroa del Rivero Anderson, also known as Broadway legend Chita Rivera.
Wow.
Now, I have to be honest, I have never seen Chita Rivera live.
Wow.
And I love the theater. I love my oldies. I'm sure I'm not alone, but her work still stands out. She's famous for introducing them on Broadway and having them played by other actors in the movies. She was the first Anita in West Side Story. If that were your only credit, I bow to you. She was Rose in Bye Bye Birdie with a young Dick Van Dyke, heard of him. And then Janet Leigh played Rose in the movie. She introduced the character of Velma Kelly in Chicago and all that jazz. And later in life, after a huge car accident, she came back, Aurora in Kiss of the Spider Woman. She's won Tony. She was the first Latin American to win Latino American, Latinx, Latina, I don't want to say anything wrong, to win the Kennedy Center honor. And she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But she was known as a triple threat. She could act, she could dance, she could sing. And I've just been reading up about her. I've been watching clips. James, I didn't give you much chance, but did you happen to watch the clip I sent you?
Yes, I did. Where she's explaining the difference between Jerome Robbins choreography and Bob Fosse choreography, and she's sort of doing it as she's explaining it. It's so good. I do have to just say that as a young child, as a young woman, I saw The Rink on Broadway with her and Liza, and I saw Kiss of the Spider Woman on Broadway with her as well. So I have seen her live, and it is absolutely, she just walking on stage, the room fills with her energy. It was just unbelievable.
She was 91. She worked up to the very end, and she had this, and Fenton, I'll send it to you too, but it's called, I didn't know about this. First of all, my feed, just because I'm a gay person, when she passed away, it was like one clip after another. Yes, Ed Sullivan show, like her on the Mike Douglas show with Gwen Verdon doing and all that, just amazing footage and amazing. And there's this show she did in 2005, 2006, which I didn't know about. I'm so angry, called Chita Rivera, The Dancer's Life. She was deep into her 70s, and she can still dance and move. And she's telling the history of her dance choreographers. It's spectacular. I'll find a way. We'll put it in the link of the YouTube or something so people can watch it. And the Rita Moreno, who played her, that Anita in the movie and won an Oscar for it, said that they were often, and she's way up there in the 90s, she was often confused for each other. She said it was the greatest honor ever to be confused with Chita Rivera. And I thought that was a lovely thing to say.
The thing is, it hit me really hard because there's so many of these people where you think of Angela Lansbury, Chita Rivera, Rita Moreno, Betty White, the Queen, who have always been around.
Always been there. And you think that they're going to live forever. And when they get up into the 90s, you think, well, they're going to go to 120. There's just no stopping them. And then when they pass away, it's a hole in your heart because it's somebody who is just always. Elizabeth Taylor was the same way for me.
They have achieved a kind of immortality because thanks to the screen age, they're still around. You can still watch the Golden Girls, I
have a feeling, Shirley MacLaine, they're these people that are just they're a part of the.
Are you predicting who's going next?
I know. Don't do that. Don't go there. Don't go there.
Shirley.
All right. Well, let's move on.
Okay, let's do.
Rest in perfection, Chita Rivera. Let's move on to number 3, to someone who is very much alive, James.
Number 3.
Yes, I sent you guys a new short film that is making the rounds. Lypsinka, Toxic Femininity, directed by our old friend, Wild Celebrity, Chloe Sevigny. God bless her. Lypsinka, of course, is the legendary drag legend who does those lightning quick lip syncs of classic movie lines and interviews with people like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis, and she does horror films from the 1940s and 50s, and it's all just lightning quick. She just zips from one character to the next and has really given the kids today a run for their money when learning about how to do lip sync, how to just, she used to have to sit there with a tape recorder in front of, the TV when an old movie came on and tape it. And now it's gotten a little easier for queens today. But the genius of her is that she switches these characters from Susan Hayward, I Want to Live, to Joan Crawford in Trog, to, she goes so fast. fast. And she does this one bit, and it's in the movie where there are 3 telephones ringing, and she keeps answering each telephone in different voices and quips and quotes and everything like that. And God bless Chloe for having the sense to get her on film for the ages.
Immortalize her. Yes.
Immortalize her, because she deserves all the flowers in the world.
There's a little bit of backstory, because apparently it was conceived during COVID, and she was like, well, why would I want to do this? And then she realized, well, even my live act is kind of like I'm in an existential kind of nihilistic crazy place. And so actually doing this film in an isolation situation without an audience, she was like, well, it kind of makes sense,
It's very Samuel Beckett. I mean, like, she really is. She is from this in a weird dimension of post-human, post personality. It's just crazy. She's just this crazy banana bread. I mean, just nuts.
We have to post a link to it, because you can stream it for free for a limited time only.
And also, I just want to say that if you need more of your Chloe Sevigny fix, that she is playing right now this week. There are 2 episodes of Feud, Capote versus the Swans, in which she plays CZ Guest. It started this week. We will be talking about it next week, and we will be, either raving or shouting. I can't decide how I'm going to feel about it.
Probably both.
All right, so that's Lypsinka, Toxic Femininity, and Chloe Sevigny in the new Ryan Murphy Feuds, right?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, I'm reading a book.
Number 2.
Oh, hang on, not that one.
Oh, God.
Oh, I can't tell. I am reading a book. Camp by Paul Baker. Right, Camp ! By Paul Baker.
I'm reading it too.
So, how far have you got?
I am about 3/4 of the way through.
Ooh.
And it is a slog, and you continue on, because I have thoughts.
Well, I approached it in a slightly grumpy frame of mind, as one can sometimes do, because one thinks one knows everything there is to know about this subject. And how dare someone else write a book about it?
Yeah. Listen, I am a 57-year-old gay man. You cannot teach me anything new about Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Tallulah Bankhead, or Oscar Wilde.
Or little Leslie Uggams, for that matter.
Or little Leslie Uggams, yeah.
But on the other hand, inspired by the presence of Tom Campbell today, trying to be that, see the ray of light. No, I mean, I think anytime someone actually writes a book about camp, it's a good thing, because camp has actually been the subtitle of the book is The Story of the Attitude That Conquered the World. And I think that's brilliant, because that is the truth. And camp has been sidelined or marginalized ever since, what's her name?
Susan Sontag.
Thank you. Wrote that 1964 essay about camp. And actually, there are several books now about camp. No Respect, Camp, The Lie That Tells the Truth. Yes, James.
The Philip Hoare, the Camp, The Lie That Tells the Truth is probably my favorite. But it is interesting that he, like you, slogs the Sontagian view of camp starting off in the very beginning. But I do think it's interesting to note that the definition of camp keeps changing over the decades. And what was camp in the 60s is not camp so much now, whereas I would have been a little happier had it been a little less Tallulah, Betty, Joan, and a little more like, Nazimova, Nijinsky, Aubrey Beardsley, Erte, like that type of camp. But we don't. He goes for the obvious. He goes for the obvious things that the kids today can Google or look up on YouTube, as opposed to
what that means, James. You know what that means,
Duncan. He's not obscure in his references.
James, you know what that means?
What?
There's a camp book in your future. You need to write your own.
Actually, James, that is a brilliant idea. Tom is completely right. I'm only about 50, 70 pages in. I love the, and I guess, James, you'll be rolling your eyes saying, oh, this is old news. But, Sir Campe, Moliere play. Moliere was a favorite playwright of Louis XIV, the Sun King. And that camp really got a big foot up in culture when Louis XIV decided to turn a little hunting lodge into the Palace of Versailles with thousands of mirrors and the Hall of Mirrors and thousands of rooms. And here's the thing I didn't know is that Walt Disney, when he was an ambulance driver in 1918, decided to return to Paris with his family in 1935, and he took very detailed notes about Versailles, and a lot of the visual elements of it reappear in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, so that are very...
But not only that, but not only Versailles, but he did a very Fentonian thing where he was taking pictures of the Art Nouveau windows and the Art Nouveau manhole covers and things like that. And all that Art Nouveau that was so big in 1918 ends up in over and over again in those early Disney.
Yes, and really, when you think about it, Disneyland is camp, and it's a sort of an iteration. So this won't be the last book about camp, and Paul Baker's really nice in the sense that he says, this is an incomplete history. We don't know where it's going. I could predict. I'm bound to be wrong. So, I think
one of the things that I learned that I had no idea about, and this one blew my mind, is there was a sort of a chapter about the Molly houses of the 18th century in London, where the Mollies were the drag queens and the Molly houses were like the gay bars at the time. And some of the slang that they were using, that the Mollies were using, where they would call each other sisters, they would call each other queens, which I thought was sort of a modern thing, and they referred to trade as their masculine lovers would get some trade. I thought that was 1960s, 1970s gay. I had no idea that it was 300, 400 years old.
Nothing is new, only what has been forgotten.
Yeah.
I forget who said that, but someone did. All right, let's take one more break. There are 3 new House of Love flavors available at houseoflovecocktails.com. Vodka soda citrus, passion fruit margarita, and the totally tropical mocktail. I gotta tell you,
about those
passion fruit margarita sounds really good.
The 2 cocktails, the passion fruit and the vodka citrus, are 100 calories per can.
Oh, wow.
Which distinguishes them. They're very on trend, but they're bursting with flavor, or so I'm told, because I'm more of a mocktail guy,
They are bursting with flavor. I mean, because there is the tangerine margarita, which is about a gajillion calories a can, but every single one of those calories is deliciousness, I have to say. Available at houseoflovecocktails.com, because there's a little bit of love in every can. Tom Campbell came up with that line. Isn't that genius? We'll be right back here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things of the week that make us go
wow.
And we reached number 1.
Number 1.
Turning on the news, it's so surreal when you see the way that the Republicans are losing their damn minds over Taylor Swift. They are saying just the nastiest things about her. This woman who is, I mean, for all intents and purposes, she is one of the most successful women on the planet. One of the most successful people on the planet. She is a self-made billionaire. She gets people to vote. She has millions of fans. She is a great role model. She's a wonderful, I mean, her songs, I know, I'm 57. I know more Taylor Swift songs than a 57-year-old man probably should. But the way that they are so angry about her being on the camera at their NFL games, when at the Chief games, when they flash to her supporting her boyfriend, and they say that it's a psyop, and it's that the Super Bowl is actually it's all been planned ahead of time by the Democrats as a way to get people to vote for Joe Biden by using Taylor Swift, and that she's in on it with I mean, like, it's just bonkers. It's just crazy. Have you guys been paying attention to all of this?
It's hard to not miss it. I'm getting I still have Facebook. I get crazy posts that I report, but that say Rob, terrible things about Taylor Swift, terrible things about Rob Reiner. It's just this pollution that is online. And I have to say, Taylor no one's perfect, but she's one of the kindest, most considerate, thoughtful, inclusive celebrities we've ever seen.
And she terrifies them for some reason. She is their bête noire who has just managed to just throw them into a frenzy. It's just absolutely, when you see, I watch Fox News sometimes just to hate watch it and drive myself crazy, and to see Jesse Waters lose his mind every time she appears.
Is it them or is it the Russian bots that are making everyone?
No. It really is them. I mean, the Russian bots are there too, always, but they really.
I mean, we're in an election year, so
if you watch Fox, Laura Ingraham, Judge Jeanine Pirro, all of them will have entire segments about how she is.
Well, if she outrages the crazy right, she's doing something right.
Exactly.
And I'd like to think that if anyone can withstand it, it is Taylor, and I hope she.
And God bless the Swifties for getting out there and voting, and
Well, maybe they know. Maybe that's the right wing knows that.
That's exactly what it is. They're terrified of the youth vote. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fear of having something taken away from them, namely power.
Yeah.
That's all we got time for on the WOW Report this week. Thank you for listening in. Tom, so lovely to see you. Thank you, James.
Please come back anytime.
Thank you so much. There's
James
no place
has
like
been bereft in your absence. He was like, oh. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.